let's go ahead and use DocuSign with Power Apps and Power Automate. And no, we're not going to do just a simple little, hey, here's a hello world demo. We're going to build a full-scale solution. What we're going to do is we're going to have a Power App where you're going to go in and filter out your data and then generate a PDF from your Power App. And then based on who the manager was of that data, we're going to then create an envelope and send it over for signature to that manager. And then once it's signed by them, we're going to grab the final sign-offs and then save all that to SharePoint, right? So we're going to build a full solution here with DocuSign with Power Apps and Power Automate so that you can see a practical real-world example of how this stuff works. And of course, we're going to explain how all the things work along the way, right? We don't believe in magic or skipping the details. So if that sounds like fun, then let's switch over to my desktop and take a look. Oh, and I want to mention as well, like this is not sponsored by DocuSign. They did not pay me to do this. They're not giving me anything cool to do this. Like they helped me, they answered some of my questions, but this is not a paid endorsement anyway. This is a real world look at something that our customers use and that you guys have asked me about. So anyway, just want to make that very clear. So here you can see I've mounted a pretty straightforward Power App. Over here on the left, we've got my employee list coming out of my data source. And this is an HTML control showing that data. So we're going to use the concat function to do that. And over here, we then have a drop down of some of the different departments. And so if I choose accounting, you'll see that the data filters over to the accounting people. IT, we got some different people, executive, right? Like filtering data, not a big deal. But then we're like, all right, so this is the employee list. Now I want to get the manager sign off on that data. So you'll notice down here at the bottom, like this stuff is currently blank. We'll talk about that in a minute, but we want to get a sign off on this data. So we're going to say send a DocuSign. This is going to look up the manager of the executive department. So get their name and their email address. And then it is creating a Power Automate flow that will run all the DocuSign steps. And if we switch over and look at, right, so Chewy is the manager here. So let's go check out Chewy's email box. Here you can see that Chewy got an email. And so if he says he wants to review the document, he's taking a DocuSign. He wants to agree to use his electronic signature. He's going to say continue. And so you can see that there's the PDF that we just generated, right? So we're not just using a standard file. We could have, but we're generating a file with our Power App. And then there's the name and the date all filled in. And then he can click here to sign off and say adopt and sign. And now down here at the bottom, he says finish. And just like that, all of that information is done. So Chewy is done with the process. But then we have another flow that kicked off and it went and grabbed the document. And so it should take the signed document and put it right here in this folder in just 1 second. And after about a minute, you can see envelope.pdf. And so then down here, of course, if we click on it, there is the signed document. And then I chose the option. We'll talk about these options later, but there's my certificate of completion with all the fancy stuff, right? Like, you know, I am not a DocuSign expert or policy signing documents. I don't know. Like we don't care. We showed we could get all the pieces, like, yay. So let's go talk about how this works. So if we switch back over here, let's start with the Power App, right? We got to kind of start getting the process. And so if we look at this piece right here, this is just an HTML control where we're generating the HTML to make the PDF. So if you've never made a PDF with Power Apps before, then go watch that video because, right, like this process is assuming that you're going to, understand all that. And I go through that in painstaking detail up there. So this is the quick version of that. But basically what you have here is to make a PDF with Power Apps, what you do is you generate the HTML that looks like your PDF, and then you send that over to Power Automate, then you use OneDrive actions, which we'll show you in a second, and they kind of create the PDF. And then once you've got the PDF, then you can do whatever you want with it. That's what we did here. This concat section, right? This is the part where we're taking our data source, in my case, my employees list, and I'm filtering it by the selected thing from the drop down there. Now, the reason that I did that is I just wanted to show you that you can make it dynamic, super simple. So not really meaningful to this actual video, but just, a little extra functionality. The same up here, like report was generated by, and I'm just using the logged in user's name, and then now, and then selected department to kind of give it a little bit of nicety. Now, what is different that you haven't seen before is down here after the table closes. So, we had a paragraph for the manager sign off. And so then we ended up with our DocuSign pieces. And so what you're going to do inside of your document, whether it's a PDF, an Excel, a Word document, is you put in little tags in your content, and then those content tags get replaced by the DocuSign functionality. So in my case, I have a /N1 where the name goes, a /D1, and then another / for the date, and then last but not least for the signature, I did an S1. Now, important note here, you don't see those on the screen because you set the color to be white. Right? They have to be there, but we don't want to see them, right? Like we don't want to see, N1 or any of that stuff. And so, because it's not going to rip those out, it's just going to kind of put it in those places. So you want to go ahead and color those to be the same color as your document. So they're there, but you can't see them. Okay. But so that's all we have to do, right? We just take whatever our document is and we need to add these little tags wherever we want them, however we want them. And they don't even have to be specific. Like I used N1, D1, S1, but I could have put, name one, date one, sign one, right? Whatever goes between those slashes and you tell it, we'll see in a second, you have the option there. So that's it. We made a bunch of HTML and then we did this. My little drop down here is just a list of my table, right? In my table, I got a department and then the email and the manager. I made them all Chewy, so no matter which one I demoed, they would all go to the same mailbox. That just make my life easier. But that's what my dropdown does. And then my send DocuSign is going to run the flow that we're about to look at, and it's going to send the HTML text. So this stuff is going to send the selected email from here. So Chewy's email and selected manager, which is also Chewy. So that's what we're doing, right? Nothing there should be new. That's all just Power Apps. If any of that's new, like I said, go watch the video that I showed you a minute ago on building a PDF. What is new is jumping over here to our flow. You know what? Instead of explaining how this flow works, as I started to, I've recorded a few minutes, I deleted all that. You know what we're going to do? We're going to build a complete flow from scratch. I think that's more interesting. So let's hit the back button here and we'll go over here to create. And so we're going to do an instant flow. We're going to name it Power Apps DocuSign My PDF, and we're going to make it a V2 trigger, right? We're going to build this whole thing together. So let's say create. Okay. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get those inputs, right? We talked about we'll have 3. So we're going to click here. We're going to add input text, and we're going to call this first one my HTML. We're going to add another input for text, and we're going to do my email, and then one more, add email text, and then this one's going to be my manager. Okay, right? Those are the 3 pieces of dynamic content that we need to pass over. So that'll come in. And so once those come in, the first thing we got to do is build our PDF from that HTML. So we're going to go here, add an action, and we're going to search for OneDrive for Business. All right. Remember, this step has to happen in OneDrive for Business. So we're going to say see more, and we're going to create a file. We're going to create it. We're going to create it in my PDF folder just because I don't like the extra trash laying around. So we'll go down here. And then for the file name, we're going to call this docu.html. And the file content will be that dynamic content from my HTML. Okay, that's step 1. Step 2, we're going to add another action. This action also has to be in OneDrive for Business. We'll say see more. And here we're looking for convert file. This is going to take the file that we just had. So we're going to click in here. And so we're going to use from create file, its ID. And we're going to make that a PDF. Now remember, it's not going to change the file we created here. It's just going to say, oh, that HTML file, this is what it would look like if it was a PDF, right? Like that's all it's doing is getting that. It's writing on its hand. Like this is what it would look like. So that's all we need to do there. And then the third piece, because we don't need that HTML file, I'm going to go ahead and have some good little hygiene here. And I'm going to delete that file, right? OneDrive for Business. And then we will go down here and find delete file. And then what file do you want to delete? That same one from the first one, right? Create file ID. Now at this point, we've deleted the HTML file, but we've got written down what the file looks like. We've gotten the file contents of a PDF. This is important because your process might be different. So maybe you did for a selected file in SharePoint. Maybe you did an email attachment. Maybe you said every time a file gets uploaded in this folder, like it doesn't matter. You just need the file content. So this is my way of getting the new file content we created. But once you have the file content, then you're ready to jump into your DocuSign steps. So the first DocuSign is the word chain. Talking is hard. Add an action, right? You should try it. Talking, standing up, talking, clicking a mouse, and thinking about what you're going to demo, and making sure the buddy's not barking. Like, it's a lot. Okay, you don't care. All right, so we're going to go over here. We're going to add an action. Now, when you type in DocuSign, you're going to see 2 different options here, DocuSign and DocuSign Demo. So the difference, right, if you have already a DocuSign account, your company's paying for it, then obviously you want to use DocuSign. But in my case, I did not. So I'm using the DocuSign Demo. Now, if you don't have a DocuSign Demo account, go over here to developers.docusign.com and click developer account and create account. It was like 4 pieces of information. So far, they've sent me one whole email, which I replied to like, hey, I'm making videos, leave me alone. And so far, they've left me alone. So I don't think they're spam heavy there. But the nice thing is that once you do it, as you might have noticed in our example earlier, I put some extra words on the screen all the time. You can't use it for anything production because it's always saying, hey, this is demo, this is not a legal document, blah, blah, blah. But it's a great way that I've been able to play and use it without having to go sign up for an account in any capacity or like a paid account in any capacity, right? I didn't have to put in a credit card or any of that. So DocuSign Demo is what we want. And so now if we say see more, okay, so it took me a minute to wrap my head around this, but basically what you're going to do is we need to create an envelope, and then we're going to add some content to it, and then add recipients to it and do some other things, right? But the main thing that you want to think about is like an envelope is the primary vehicle to get this to Chewy to sign it. So the very first thing you're always going to do is go down here and say create an envelope. So you do create an envelope. Here we got, an email subject. So this will be the email of their DocuSign. So sign the employee list. Account ID. This is my account that the developer account we just created, right? So the first time you use this action, you have to link it up to your account and approve the connection. But after that, in the dropdowns, always you'll just see your account. So that's my demo account, PowerApps 911. And then email body, let's just throw in a hi mom here for the fun of it. Now, if you go down here and say show all, there are some additional things. There's a lot of DocuSign pieces here that I'm not super familiar with. So like this is the ability to add custom fields if you're using templates and stuff. Like I think it's like if you want to bolt in a legal disclaimer, I'm not really sure, but hopefully if you're a DocuSign person, you're like excited. If not, it doesn't matter because we don't need that. Okay. So that's step one. You create an envelope. Now that you've created an envelope, right? Let's hit the action again. Add action. You're going to type in DocuSign a lot. So I'm going to paste it a lot. So we're going to paste in DocuSign. And so that now that we've done that, now what we want to do is add documents to an envelope. So we're going to click on that. Oh, the other thing I might want to mention is that you notice it said it's premium action. So DocuSign somehow pays for it to be premium. So like even you don't have to have a premium account to do these premium testing. I don't understand how that works, but good news is it shouldn't matter that it says it's all premium until you start using this for production, right? So here we go, account. And so then what do we want? My same PowerApps 911. And then the envelope is going to be the dynamic content, as you can guess from create envelope. There's the envelope ID we just made. So there we go. And then remember, every time, just hit this show all, see what you see down here. And so in this case, you really need this one, right? You've got to add that document in. So we're going to say add new item. Now here, document base 64. Don't mess this up, or if you do, figure it out after you mess it up. But you can't just give it the file content. You've got to base 64 and code that. So what you're going to do is you're going to say function, and you're going to type in base 64. And then inside my strings here, we'll say dynamic content. And from our convert file, remember, this is our file content. This is the PDF version of what that HTML looked like. That's what we want there. But if you, once again, if you were using one of the other actions, wherever you got your file content from, SharePoint, email attachments, Teams things, Dataverse, it doesn't matter. You're going to put that inside of this spot and just make sure you put that base 64 encoding around it. Okay, so we'll say add there. You're going to tell it what type of document it is. In our case, it's a PDF. And then you want to tell it what the document name is. And so we're just going to call this employees.pdf. I don't know, right? And we could use a expression or a function here to make it dynamic, put the date, the time, calculate something, pass in dynamic content with what the name you want to be. I don't care, whatever there, right? You just want some text. Now that also has this transform PDF fields, assign tabs to recipient. Once again, this is that next layer of DocuSign functionality that I'm not familiar with. So we're just going to leave all of those alone. So this looks good. So now we've added a document to an envelope. So now we need to do a next step. So we'll hit the plus here, add an action. We'll search for DocuSign again. Notice the copy and pasting. And now what we want to do is we want to add a recipient to an envelope. So once again, it's one of the suggested ones. So that's even awesomer, right? So we'll click that. So here's our account ID, that's PowerApps 911. Our envelope ID, that is going to be our dynamic content again. And so up here, and then the recipient type. Hey, are you enjoying this detail-oriented look at how to use this thing, right? So remember, I've got training classes. This is my training style. So over at training.powerapps911.com, I got on-demand training, I got live training, I got a 6-month university program that'll make you a rock star. All of this is possible if you just go check it out over at training.powerapps911.com. All right, back to the video. So this is where you assign their role to your envelope. And so for us, what we're going to do is we're going to say needs to sign, but notice that there are other ones there. So in-person signing, needs to view it, needs to receive a copy, right? So you can add recipients with all these different DocuSign specific roles depending on your needs, right? And that's the thing that you're going to see with this DocuSign actions. It's like there's a million of them, all the little pieces, but that means that everything can be really configured at a really granular level, which is very functional. So you can build a lot of different solutions instead of just having one action that was called create envelope and get it signed, right? Like, and just have all the fields in one. They could have done that, but then they would have lost all this flexibility. But at the same time, when you're first coming in here, it's like a lot of things to stare at. So if you don't know what a signs with witness is, and I don't, then right, we're not going to mess with it because all we want to do is we want to get an electronic signature. So we're just going to say needs to sign. Then here we're going to say show all again. And so down here, it's like all these things. And so if we kind of start looking at these, like there's signing orders and things and notifications and notes and roles, like I don't know what any of this stuff is, honestly. It looks like they can now do SMS text message notifications. Maybe it's kind of cool. Different types of documents, DocuSigns. I don't know what those are. Here's what I do know. I need a signer name. Well, in my dynamic content, if we go back up here to this, we have the My Manager, right? That was Chewy Young. And we need the signer's email so we can send them a notification. So dynamic content and then my email. So those are the only two of the little stars right there. The only two required ones. I haven't messed with any of the rest of this stuff. There's a lot of interesting pieces there for another day. So there you go. Now we've created an envelope. We've added a document to it. We've added a recipient to it. So now the last piece that we need to do before we send it is we're going to need to hit add action again, paste it on old DocuSign. And so now what we want to do is add tabs for a recipient of an envelope. So tabs is what they call the little things. Remember when Chewy had to sign a signature? Those are called tabs in DocuSign speak. So we're going to add a tab. Now, when you go to add a tab here, right? PowerApps 911, the same envelope again. You should be getting really good at this. Oh, see, I say getting really good at this and I clicked the wrong thing. But down here, we've got our envelope ID, our recipient ID. So that once again will be dynamic content. And now if we look, when we added a recipient, we got a recipient ID. So that's Chewy. And then the tab. And so now this is another layer of the DocuSign functionality. So look, they've got like a date one. So if you want them to have a date picker and choose a date, they got date signed, which is what we're going to use in a minute. So just automatically puts in the date that they sign it. You can add drop downs, you can pull in names, you can do formulas, numbers. So maybe they need to commit to some piece of information. I don't know, right? Like they can do attachments. There's a lot of really cool stuff here. Now for us, we're going to kind of just work our way through. And so the first one we had was that full name. So we've got a full name here. Then it's like, hey, I got a parameter. And so we're going to add that. And so it's like, hey, what is your anchor string? Now, if you don't remember, it's N1, but if you don't remember, you could go back over here and remember in our HTML, click on our HTML, we said name, remember we made that invisible N1. So this is how we're going to tell it that goes there. So what we're going to do is we want exactly what we put in there. So copy that. We'll go over here to our flow. And so our anchor string is going to be that. And so if you use the same thing all the time, you wouldn't have to go back and look, right? I used N1, D1, and S1 because I'm a super simple guy. But now that we've done that, now they have a bunch of other stuff here. So you can configure the label, the offset, like you can move things around a little bit, some different pieces. There's customizations to be made, but we don't need any of this. All you need is the anchor string. I actually have a little star by the side, right? That's the required one. The rest of it, who cares? Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna add another tab. So this is a little repetitive feeling, but once again, this gives you a lot of flexibility. So we're gonna add another tab. We're going to search for DocuSign again. I'll tell you, as I started doing this, my third pass through, I accidentally started clicking up here. So just make sure that you're taking enough time to click in here. If you click on the DocuSign, not the demo ones, it's different, like not different in like different functionality because it doesn't have an account. Like you'll just get really confused. So make sure you're clicking the DocuSign demo. I've done that a bunch. So add another tab. Same drill though. PowerApps 911. Your envelope here is going to now be our envelope ID again. Where is it at? And I keep using the envelope ID from create envelope. This envelope ID is the same exact one. In my head, I keep going here for some reason. Recipient ID, there's recipient ID. And so this tab types, this is our second one. This is going to be our date. So this would make it a date picker. This just automatically makes it the date that Chewy did. So let's just make it the date Chewy did. So date signed. And then now in just a second, we'll say show all again, add new. And so then this time it is what? It is /D1. And once again, it's just right over here. Oh, it's /D1. See, I'm glad I looked. Oh, Shane. Oh, Shane. All right, there you go. So it's just that the D1. So it's going to replace that with that date. Perfect. And one more of these. Oh, you know what? Before we leave this, so another thing that is really helpful. So notice now I've got add tabs for recipient on envelope and add tabs for recipient on envelope 1. Just go up here and name these as you go, right? So we'll just do -date. So it makes your flow easier to read, right? If we go back to this one, we'll click on this one, we'll just do -name. And so that's going to make my troubleshooting later. If I have any problems with any of the tabs or I want to change one, I can more quickly find them, right? Help future Shane out. I like future Shane. All right, one more time. DocuSign, add tabs to the thing, and then Power Apps 901. I wonder if I should try copying these. That might be even easier or faster. I don't know. Sounds like something I'd screw up in the middle of a video though, so we're not going to try that right now. Recipient ID. And so the last one is the all important, the signature. We want them to sign off on this thing. And as you can guess, this time around, we're going to say show all, add new item. And this time Shane's going to do it exactly right on the first try, /S1 /. Yay! I'm so smart. I know. Okay. Oh, and I forgot then, see, I got all excited about how smart I was. And then I forgot to do signature. I think that's how you spell it. Okay, one more step here. So let's hit +1 last time, add an action, DocuSign again. And now we're going to say see more. And so now our envelope is ready. It is ready for Chewy to get it and do things with it. So what do we want to do? We're going to go down here and we're going to say, all right, Chewy, now we want to send your envelope. So we'll send envelope, account ID, our same one, envelope ID, our same one again, and that will send off our lovely little envelope, right? Remember, because we've already added up here all the things about like what it does inside there, who's getting it, what role they have. So all of that was configurable. So instead of making this one action have 1,000 pieces of input, they just had a bunch of these little baby steps that all assembled the puzzle. So then now it will send off. I like that. So let's hit save. Now we go back to our Power Apps. So Power Apps DocuSign my PDF. I'll forget that as soon as we get over here. But over here in my Power Apps, we're going to click on the new Power Automate, little hidden it. So there's the one that I had used before. So we're just going to add one. We'll search for DocuSign, Power Apps DocuSign my PDF. Good job, Shane. So that'll pull in. And while that's pulling in, let's go ahead and insert a button. It will not be as pretty as the other one, but that's all right. And so what does this button need to do? Up here on select, we're going to type in Power Apps DocuSign my thing run, and then we're going to fill in the blanks. So first it wants the HTML. So that is our HTML control.text. So whatever's in that HTML box will go there. Now it wants the email. And so that is going to be combo box 1 selected.email. And then last but not least, it wants my manager, and it's going to be combo box 1 selected.manager. Close that up. All right. We got 4 people sitting there. Let's hit play. Let's press the button. Boop. And then I will open up Chewy's mailbox real quick. All right. Chewy just got an email. And so he's going to review the document. He's going to agree to that. There's the 4 people. There's his name. There's the date he signed this. And there's the sign. There's that little demonstration document only. So a reminder that you can't use this for production. So Chewy hits sign, adopt and sign, and finish. We have created and signed a PDF. But Shane, we need to do something else. You are right. What else we got to do? Now what we want to do, because the video wasn't long enough, I guess, is we're going to go over here. And so we want another flow. That is how we generate one. It's got signed, right? It's in my DocuSign account, all that. But now I want to grab that file that Chewy just signed, and I want to push that over to our SharePoint, right? So what are we going to do? Well, we'll jump over here. We will create ourselves another flow. And this time we're going to do a automated, but we're just going to hit skip here. And we're going to say add a trigger. And we're going to search for DocuSign again. And so over here, if we say see more, there's really only one, right? These two are deprecated. So when envelope status changes. So what do you want to do when envelope changes? Here in our envelope event, we're going to say, hey, when an envelope is completed, right? Because it's done, right? All the signers have done it because there's only one. But there's a lot of different options here. So make sure as you build your solutions, you get more familiar with them. But right now we're just going to say envelope completed in our Power Apps 901 account. Now this connect name, I don't know what it's for. And I asked someone at DocuSign and they weren't sure what it was for. They said they just always put in the word test here. So I'm going to put in the word test misspelled apparently. So apparently the connect name doesn't matter. I don't know. But though so far this has not let me down, just putting in random gibberish there. Okay. So when envelope status changes, what do I want to do? We're going to say plus, add an action. We're going to search for DocuSign again, if I can put my mouse in the right place. And now what we want to do is we want to get documents from an envelope, right? So somewhere down here, get documents, document info, get documents from an envelope, right? So remember we generated that PDF, we put it inside the envelope, it got signed off on. So we want to get that out of there. So we're going to grab that, the account ID, once again, Power Apps 911, envelope ID. So we're going to do the little this. And so the envelope ID that triggered the flow is right there. And then the output format. So this is what do you want to do, right? Do you want to get a zip file with all the pieces in it? Do you want to get only the certificate of completion? Do you want to get all documents as a single PDF, all documents as a single PDF without the certificate of completion, a portfolio. Right. So once again, choose what you want here. Like earlier, what I did was I did combined with COC, and that was where you saw that we had the Chewy sign off in the original demo and then all the certificate stuff at the bottom. So let's just do that one again, but each of these is a little bit different. So we're going to choose that. So that gets the document out, right? So think of this as like a get file content. And so now you have file content. What do you want to do with it? We'll say plus, add an action. And so we can do whatever we want, right? But all we're going to do for now is just we're going to make a little SharePoint, and then we're just going to create a file from SharePoint. All right, where we're going to put it in our Power Apps videos. Our folder path will just be our lovely little document library. Your documents right there. Our file name, let's see, video ds for DocuSign.pdf. Great. And then for the content of the file, we'll click on the little arrow or the lightning bolt. And so get documents from an envelope, file content, right? Because they use like white, like it's a little hard to read, if we're being honest, but that's all right. We're going to say file content. So there you go. That's all you need there. And remember, you don't have to create the file in SharePoint. You could create it in OneDrive, create it in Dataverse. You could just send it as an email attachment. You could upload it to an FTP site. I don't care what you do with it, right? This file content is the bits and the bytes you need. Do with them as you see fit. But that's all we need to do. So let's go ahead. Oh, let's give this thing a name. Video DocuSign SP PDF. I don't know. It's like I just threw words. I was like, words. It doesn't matter. I just needed a unique name. So I did just throw words. All right. It's done saving. So then now we go back over here to Power Apps. And so let's do this again. Let's just change to a different department. Let's do, how many janitors we got? We got enough of those? Janitor, no, I misspelled it. That's why it didn't work. IT, we got 3 IT people, okay? So then we're going to press our new button we created. So I'll press this, boop. And so we know what, right? It's just doing the whole get Chewy to sign off on again. So we'll go log in as Chewy. And there you go. Now we've got this. Now if he reviews, he agrees again, right? There's that hi mom that we talked about earlier, right? And we just throw words in there, see where to go. There's our IT folks. We'll sign off on this, adopt and sign. We'll say finish. And remember, Chewy could create a DocuSign account. There's so much DocuSign can do. Like we're not trying to get into all that. I just want to show you how it works. And so we'll close out of there. And now we know that once that's done, our other flow should trigger. And so in just a moment, we should get a PDF over here. So let's just do a refresh. All right. And there is video DS PDF. And then always open it and make sure that it looks the way you expect. It does. There's all the pieces of the puzzle. Keep in mind that that document showing up, like all that triggering, like that can take anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute. So don't give up too fast because, you know, they signed it, yes, but then it's got to process the envelope, make sure all the things are done. Then it's got to mark it. Then Flow's got to see that it's marked. Then Flow's got to grab it. Like, you know, it takes a hot second sometimes for that to get over. There you go. We have used Power Apps and Power Automate and DocuSign to do some really cool stuff. And hopefully you learned all the different mechanics. So thoughts, questions, comments, leave them below. I'll make someone from DocuSign answer any of the ones I don't know. Also, I want to know, like, did you like this? Like, this is a little more specific. I usually don't do like a industry specific solution like this, but did you dig it? Do you want to see more on DocuSign? Are there other third parties that you want to see me do? Like, this is not a paid video. I did not get paid by DocuSign to do this. I refuse to do that type of stuff. But if there's videos that you guys want to see, then this is my jam. All right. And with that, I'm going to say thanks and have a great day.